Good morning, lovely people, and welcome to Monday. You better believe it. It is Monday. It's the 26th day of July 2021. Wherever you are, please like and share our screen and welcome to Unifying Family. Today, it's all about the men on Monday. And we've been chatting for the last couple of weeks about the man's perspective, leadership, and respect. Part two continues today. And with me this morning, I have Bishop Edison Bynoe, Minister Clair Browne. We have Bishop Mark Harewood, and they're all here with us, and they've been sharing their views on, leadership and respect. And what they're trying to teach the women a couple of lessons, maybe some pointers for us this morning. So, good morning and welcome to us, whatever, St. Clair. But it's been good. Good morning, Bishop.
Hey, good morning, Marissa. Great to be back on the program. Sorry, I didn't get the opportunity to be fully in, but I am fully in this morning. I'm looking forward to a really wonderful discussion.
So as we get started this morning, welcome, gentlemen. I hope you had a good weekend. And to all of our viewers also, again, please like and share our video this morning. Leadership and respect. Mr. St. Clair Browne, can we throw the hat into the ring on your side and have you recap a bit for us this morning?
Yes, last week we looked at leadership and respect. We really looked at respect, or some of our opinions of what respect looked like, and trying to give women the perspective of what we feel like. One of the main things that we discussed earlier was the ability to listen. The man feels very respected when he is heard or feels he's being heard. We talked about the goalposts being shifted. Many times that we're given these objectives of what a woman wants, and we're heading towards the goalposts, and not only are we offside, the goal is not even there anymore. So, so we're looking at that discussion, and I did toss saying my little wrench in the whole thing, and we talked about romance not being love. It's not the same as being as love. So that is where we were from last week as far as respect and men feeling respect in the relationships.
That's an interesting perspective. Let's talk about, before we jump into respect, we talked about listening and hearing. And you often say that women don't listen. That's your perspective. I said, no, don't let me say listen. Don't hear everything. Let me just say that. Hear everything, right? Bishop, before we hear Bishop Mark, St. Clair, explain the concept of the goalpost shifting. Explain that for those wondering, just what was he talking about?
God's like say talk before I turn on my mic. The goalpost shifting, yes. And you hear that so often from us men, to be quite honest. Because I really want Bishop Mark to be in there. So I try to reduce my words. But from my perspective, as there are many times that they say, well, men are in crisis. And I basically think that is garbage. I mean, I can't find a nice political word for that. I think that is nonsense. But what I do believe is that many times you're saying, oh, men need to do this. But if you look at it and being honest, and I mentioned it last week, men have been making steps. I'm not saying that they're not men that are unhealthy. We're not saying that they're not men that need to do a lot of work. My challenge is we take a small percentage of people that are not doing what they're supposed to do to represent the full gamut of it. And we talk about goalposts moving as in, okay, men supposed to work. There's nothing wrong with that. Go there, provide, protect. And then there's the whole thing, as I said, men are going to the gynecologist, men are going to the pediatrician, men are going to the nursery with the babies, they're walking with the kids, they're taking them to the park. We are grocery shopping with the ladies, we're in the room with the ladies shopping for their dresses and their bras, and we're zipping the back of the dress, we're hooking the back, we keep going. And still, the man comes up not being a man or not being a this. And he's exhausted. He's trying to figure out, okay, what are the rules? And we have the conferences, are these 10 things? Oh, buy the flowers, buy the chocolate, happy wife, happy life, which is another stupid statement. But is another thing, and all these things they keep going with. And the man is exhausted trying to figure out, why am I not winning? And it's because this is this component that says, look, you need to do this. And as we told me, the goalpost is moving. It's a very difficult thing when we go into this illusion of believing that if I do this, and men are like reward driven. If we do something, we expect a payment. So if we do this massage and all these things, we expect there's 1,000 points. No, there's 100 because that's not my love language. And the man is, it's okay. What is it? He does the love language. Oh no, you still didn't take out the garbage, and he's going berserk because he's throwing something into a vest that has holes in it. So for a lot of men, they're exhausted because the goalpost isn't working. That's why we love sports. Sports have rules. We love rectangular things because they have rules. But when the rules are flexible like that, the man becomes exhausted. As we talk about the goalpost moving for a lot of men.
All right, Bishop Mark.
Yes, I am in total agreement. Well, 95.9% with St. Clair. I think that you know what has happened, though. I think in the past where we had you know, well, men being a little, you know, abusive and all these things where the women were concerned, in trying to help those women and so on who were abused and so on, we found that, I found that now, years later, having seeking to protect them from abuse and so on, it has gone, the goalpost has shifted so poorly, so bad, so far, that it now has gone to the other side where it appears to the man that everything seemed to be in favor of the ladies. You know, like you have the women, for example, stressing the men with not being able to see the children. You hear women saying things to men, but all I want you for is to get a child. I really don't need to have the man in my life and so on. And one of the biggest things for a man, you know, women say, you want to respect, the biggest thing for a man is to feel or to be respected. Because that women want to be loved and want all the flowers and all the things. As Minister St. Clair said, you know, you do all these things, and sometimes you still, in terms of the goalpost, you come out short, because if you aim in for a particular point and when you look, the point move, you're in trouble. So all of that contributes to the frustration in men. And as St. Clair was saying, I'm not saying here, or we're not trying to advocate that we got these perfect men that doing everything well. But a lot of times when men get frustrated, it is because women try to treat them, you know, look at them as dirt, look down on them. And maybe, I'm sure Marissa might be able to say, well, maybe some guys really deserve it. But I think that the whole setup now is kind of designed to put a lot of pressure on, and as St. Clair said, to perform, to always be thinking. When you get there, figure, well, I arrive, something else they need again. You know, and I get this thing that somehow in society now, and obviously because women are doing a lot better, you know, financially and otherwise, you seem to think that it is all about what you can do for me. Man come do for me. And I want to be pampered too. I want to be loved. I want is, you know, he might not be manicuring his fingernails, but he still wants to know. And the biggest thing for him is to know, well, look, you know, she has this respect for me. She's not going to diss me in public. She's not going to make me look a fool. She's not going to get on the phone with her mother or with her friends and talk me, wait, sitting down there listening to it. So there's an element of quote unquote abuse that they have to go through when you're trying then to stop the ladies from abuse. So it's a whole kind of thing. And obviously, you know, if you have a guy, you know, who have issues from the past, who might have been, his mother he never knew his mother or his father, or the home wasn't strong, and so on, you will find that then he's bringing some issues to the scenario too, which could very well affect the lady's ability to respect. Because, you know, when we say submit and all that, they always talk about we must love them as Christ loved the church. But, you know, we are not Christ and we are not perfect. So I'll leave that there, see what the bishop has to say.
Bishop Mark, that's interesting. Now, before Bishop Edison comes in, I want you guys to break down, because you started to break it down there, Bishop Mark, respect, you know, not embarrassing him, not belittling him. I want you guys, if you can, in our program this morning, really break down nitty gritty. I didn't say bash the women, but break down nitty, like I say, Claire's face. Break down nitty gritty, really what the respect looks like. Because I found also, as I've been doing these shows, we've got a lot of cultural things that have influenced our behavior and have become a part of us. And it's time for us to unlearn some of those things that we've been doing. So it's okay, it seems okay for a woman to talk with her mother about her father. I mean, about her husband.
Perhaps.
Those things might seem normal, but is it really right? Is that whom she should be venting to? Those kind of things. What does it look like, as you say, when a man wants to make a decision and a woman jumps ahead and makes those decisions? Break down for us what really that respect looks like, so that women can learn some new truths this morning. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. One of the important things, Marissa, I believe, is that you have to have a conversation between the husband and the wife, because the aspect of respect is going to vary from home to home. Yeah, there's certain things that a man would want in one home, and there are other things that a man would want in a different home. So what we're going to do is that we're going to look at some of the general areas, but it could be expanded based on what the man needs. And the same way how the women would want to have reasonable expectations of the man, is the same thing with the man in his relationship with the woman. He would want that he can have reasonable expectations of his wife. So let me start with one: criticizing the man in public. Yeah, criticizing the man in public. The man is falling short in some area. Like, for example, you hear the story of the couple being a all, we call them a all married couple, that kind of thing, where sometimes they will bicker in public from time to time and so on. So there are times that the wife will bicker with the husband in public, but sometimes the danger is that it comes over as being very, very humiliating, because the woman makes the man feels like he's an idiot. Like, for example, we go to the supermarket and I pick up a tin of tuna, but it does not happen to be the brand that the wife accustomed to. So the wife says something like, but I don't eat that. I don't prefer that brand of tuna, and she does it publicly. Yeah, or let's say the wife is the pastor of the church, and she highlights some of the flaws in her husband while she's preaching. Well, my husband, he don't do this, he don't do that, and she does it publicly. So there's some women inadvertently, or sometimes deliberately, they embarrass their husbands in public. They humiliate their husbands by criticizing them. So it doesn't wait till they're in private where they can deal with the issue. Yeah, they attack the man about whatever problem going on in the home, and they do it publicly. No, here's the thing: when it comes to women talking with their mothers, we would expect that to some extent the woman would talk to her mother about some things, but at the end of the day, you don't humiliate your husband. So you don't go and say, well, my husband don't do this, he don't do that, he don't do that, and then go down the whole 9 yards. You don't do it with your girlfriends either. And I tell I tell people sometimes those same girlfriends are the ones that carry away your husband. You don't go and talk out all the business and that type of thing. So criticizing the man in public, criticizing the man to your friends, criticizing the man to your parents, those are things are no-nos, and the man will feel very disrespected. So that's one of the examples. So Bishop Mark, you want to throw another example in there?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Bishop. But one of the biggest things, relative to this respecting is respecting the man's judgment. And this, again, as Sinclair always said, this is goalpost thing, because now the women, got a little bit more intelligence. They're well groomed. They got a degree. Maybe they're making more money than the guy, and all these things. It's my belief that this is one of the big. A man wants to feel that his girlfriend, his wife especially, would want to, he has a need for his judgment and his decisions to be respected. And I find in this present generation, women, we love them and so on, and our mothers and our sisters, but women get real demanding and controlling and figure that, if in their way, it's nowhere, it's not your way, highway, all set of things. And so we're the man, and they always say this, you ever watch National Geographic? I hope I'm not giving them a free ad, but it's on TV. You ever see a deer running behind a lion? Anybody ever see that? If you saw that, you would almost believe that something wrong with the TV. A deer don't hunt down a lion. So men are designed to be hunters, and yes, they have to lead and they have to, be kind and all of that, not bossy. But when a man cannot lead, when a man cannot be quote unquote in charge or doing what he's created to do, it is going to create pressure. And I find that this respect for his judgment, let me talk respect is judgment, right? And you know, you always argue, you always feel that you're right where the woman is concerned. And so sometimes what men do is shut down. And so you have situations where they walk in and you say he's very laid back and he doesn't do anything. And the lady would talk, and I had this experience already. And when she's finished talking, the guy said, well, Pastor, you can see. If I say bah, she said bah. So you know what I do? I don't bah no more. Right? So that's where we are. I think that respect for the man's decisions and judgment. Sometimes, you know, but the ladies always feel that, you know, from way back when that they know everything. But we won't, you know, go that far. But I'll leave that there for the guys.
I want to jump in there, Bishop Mark, because I know Minister Sinclair is going to be anxious to get in. But the whole idea of respecting the man's judgment, even like sometimes with the children, some women feel that the men are absolutely clueless when it comes to either disciplining the children, raising the children, helping with the children, that sort of thing. So sometimes the man is cut off from his own children, can't talk to his children because, no, you're being too hard. Or let's say, for example, is a boy child. No, you're being too rough for him. You know, you got toned down, etc., etc. So it's almost like the man does not have the capacity or the capability to manage the home, manage the children. He don't have the wisdom to manage the finances, or if you know, he got to understand how much money you're working for, or what to do with this money. So then the man feels like he cannot make financial decisions. So when you have that undermining of the man's decision-making capacity, you're basically emasculating him and you're making him feel less than a man. Now, some women, because of their strong personalities and because of their strengths, they may feel, look, I could do this better than the man. And they are not ashamed or afraid to communicate that. And that's part of the problem, because the whole, you then make it a competition between you and the man. I could do this better than you. And then you humiliate the man, and you don't give him options even where he can grow, where he can develop. And he might already have the proficiency, or he might have the capacity to develop in that area. But if he's shut down, then he's not going to want to try or want to do that thing anymore. So it could be in a lot of different areas. Bishop Mark would talk about the cooking, you know, cooking and cleaning. Sometimes it's felt like the man can't cook, the man can't clean. You gotta tell him how to cook. You gotta tell him how to cut the vegetables and so on, because he ain't cut the carrots at a slant. He cut them straight. He cut them in strips. And you make a big deal about that. The man didn't know what he's doing. So it's things like that that can make a man feel very, very disrespected. Yeah, it might seem like simple things, but men literally can be shut down in their own homes.
I see Lady Marissa scratching. Conversation.
Listening. I am here listening to what you guys have understood as being saying is disrespect. So we're learning. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think as far as the society goes, to be quite honest, that the male man is basically becoming extinct. If you talk about it, the society, it's a midlife crisis, but being a man is almost like a bad thing. To be a man, to have a voice, to have testosterone, to speak loud, you know, to perspire, is like, that is like crazy right now. So may God speak as I tell, sorry, we have to speak with pregnant pause. We have to have commas. We can't speak with full stops and exclamation marks anymore. We can't preach and perspire because people look at my perspiration and we man saying, like seriously, you think that Jesus had on a vest? Come on, man. Right? So we got a whole set of things that make it seem as though being a man is a bad thing. So by extension, men trying to be good based on societies and the changing variables of what the requirements of a man, we keep changing and evolving into something that is weird, to be quite honest, right? And then after we try so hard, then we still turn around and say, oh, you're not a man. You know, you don't make decisions. You're not assertive enough. You're not. So the guy's like, so what do you want me to? There's so many couples, especially young men, come in, and they can almost tell them exactly what women are going through. Because the woman say, okay, or the guy would say, you want to get something to eat? She would say yes. He would ask her, where do you want to go? She would say, where do you want to go? And it's like this ping pong ball between where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Because men have lost the ability to make decisions. So men are saying, oh, just tell me what you want and I will take you. And the woman is saying, but I want you to make a decision. And the man is scared to make a decision because he don't want to come over as bossy or, he's this chauvinistic, crazy guy. And the woman is going berserk. She's like, could you make a decision? And the man is lost because he's like, but I'm trying to serve you. And she's saying, would you have a spine? And this is this weird behavior that is happening at the moment. So women are now being trained to be strong. And in some cases, strong as a Ford truck. So women being strong and built to be strong and being these tough people, while men are not being taught to be cosmopolitan and be understanding. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is happening now is that they have females with a male archetype and the males with a female archetype. And so the craziness is going on even in church. Pastors are begging men to lead and they're listening, they're hearing the sermons, they're hearing the conferences, but they are scared because one of the things that they don't want to do is being responsible. You can't ask most men, even in church, where the Holy Spirit is saved to go to heaven, but asking them to commit to something, to be responsible, to be accountable. That if you do something wrong, yes, you're the person that the head will roll. We don't want that anymore. But the women can jump in, yes, I can lead. And even in church, we talk about even in church, that this is very pastors crazy. Why? Because we have a society that is raising males from preschool to predominantly female, primary school predominantly female, secondary school predominantly female, tertiary education predominantly female, working environment predominantly female, and raised by a mother, so the home environment raised predominantly female. So he's raised in a society that says, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Mothers and grandmas say, oh, this is how you're supposed to treat a woman. So he goes into a relationship based on what mommy and granny and auntie told him. And this woman is looking for a man, and when he gets a woman. You know what I mean? So the man is not once again, the goalposts have shifted again. He has been doing everything that has been told to him, and he's still losing the battle. And he gets totally confused. He gets depressed and frustrated because he doesn't have a definition of who he is, and he's still not with it. And that's where a lot of men end up now, even in counseling, with all these different complexities, we're trying to find who he is, and that woman not making him feel like a man. A woman cannot not make you feel like a man. You have to know you're a man. That's somebody saying, oh, she don't make me feel like I'm black. You're a black man, right? So nobody can make you not feel black or make you not feel like a man. That is my own definition of who I am. But because of what society never gave me a definition, a working definition, so I can know, okay, this is what a man is, and I'm working towards it. So that even if somebody else come and say, oh, you're not a man, you at least know, based on the definition of God's Bible, the definition of a man, I'm fulfilling that. So nobody can't say I'm not a man. And that's where a lot of men will feel disrespected too, and women get confused because they don't know how to respect a man if he doesn't know who he is.
I was just going to stick a pin there. Let's go back to what you said, St. Clair, because I'm going to ask one of the questions that Sharon Holder has posted on our live feed this morning. I'm sure some of you have your live questions. You can feel free to ask them this morning. Interestingly enough, you said the decision-making process. A woman wants to go out, and the man will ask her, where does she want to eat? And the decision is then, she say, where do you make the decision? And then there's a back and forth about that. When realistically, some women just want the gentleman to make the decision. But interestingly enough, Sharon has said, so we as women have sent our men to the scared, silent zone. Interesting, you might say that. But then, St. Clair, you go on to say that women are the ones raising sons. But you can't fault women for raising sons because they can only do the best that they can because of their understanding, because maybe sometimes the men are absent. So therefore, if that's the situation, because if a man is absent, then that's the only thing that can be the only response. But then too, if a man is a man and he's supposed to lead, I grew up in a home with my father and 3 girls, and my father was the only man in the house. And to this day, if he says, "Buh," I say, okay. Like, I got a call this morning, you need to come and do some massage. And I was like, but daddy, and he says, And I say, okay. So there's still a level of respect that is given. But I think it has to be that our men need to be firm. As a woman amongst the men, no woman wants a man that seems flaky, you know. You want to know that a man seems sure and firm. I know, Bishop Mark, I know I'm going to get my licks, but you usually want a
I
man.
so ready to jump in. Father, help
Go
me.
ahead.
Help
Go
me.
ahead.
Pray for me. Give me brevity.
So women have sent the men to the scared silent zone. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm telling you, even in a society that is coming as tells a man, oh, what it says, mommy shorty, daddy maybe. It's always this question mark of, you know, who your father is and all these things. And a lot of men have learned not to fight the battle because women, when it comes to languaging and so forth, y'all win the battle. Most men do not win the conversation because they do not know to express themselves. Yeah. So if it comes to children, you know what women have said to men, don't come around my child. Don't come back here. You know what I mean? Walk away from him.
But that's also cultural too.
Let me jump in there. There are many men that are still supporting children that are not theirs. Yeah. But there's some women that wants to say, well, don't come around my child. And when you hear what I'm saying to you, a woman says,
I understand what you're saying.
Don't come around my child. You see, the difference with me is that, as I say to women all the time, the women say, we carry this for 9 months, there's my child. And I say to you all, ladies, is that a drink machine has drinks in it and I put money in the drink machine? Does the drink belong to me or the drink machine is my child? And there's no way. God, they see that's my mindset, that is my child. You can't tell me. I would wait to the end of the earth, but most men don't have that fight. We've been trained by women to shut up. If you listen to a lot of people that raise males, oh, you got Brecky spirit. He think he's a man in here. He been broken before age 10. If you understand what I'm saying to you, who you think he is, you know what I mean? A hard slap in the face, a bursty mouth. So he's learned not to speak. He's learned, oh, go to school and be a good person. Don't stick your head up. You know, ain't let me go come to school for you. You know how you embarrass me to be. So by the time he gets to the man stage, yeah, he has a child. And you got this same female says, don't come around my child. Because many fathers don't get to tell their stories. So a lot of children hear the stories from their mothers. So a lot of men have not told their stories to their child. So a lot of men by themselves even hate themselves because daddy has been paid in a bad sight. Like, so the man himself, you know, oh, you just your father. The cycle continues. So men, they have to break those cycles for men to understand, no, this is your child. And the child is looking for you because some men, even as Pastor Bynoe says, the child is born and, oh, you don't know the holy child. You don't know that the man is disconnected. If he's not making a deliberate intention to be involved in that child's life, he's disconnected. And even before then, where women can decide, I'm going to have a child or not have a child, and it has nothing to do with you. Women can choose that for men in this society. And when you start where disrespect starts, a woman can decide, oh, even if the man wants the child, I don't want to have a child, and get rid of the child, even if the man wants the child. Likewise, the man could have said, oh, I don't want to have children, and she could decide, I'm going to get pregnant, says, okay, you're a father, support it. And if he doesn't, he's a deadbeat father. The cycle starts very crazy. If we are talking about men being respected, even in kids, these stages with children, we're having a discussion. My wife, we had a discussion before we had our child. We are going to have a child, even if it's deformed, we are going to keep this child. So we were pregnant. I was involved before conception. Therefore, I was involved at conception and continue to be involved. Where we now have this disconnect, oh, I choose when you're going to be involved in the child's life, and I get to tell you this is my child. So therefore, a lot of men don't get to tell their side of the story. There are a lot of men that want to be in their children's lives, but nobody, he doesn't have a voice or a podium to say, and he may not even have the personality like mine, which will fight for my child to the death. Yeah, so I'm just saying, not saying it's always this case, but I'm just saying that men, is a small percentage of men that are irresponsible, and they get to represent all the men. And by extension, the good men now are paying the price, yeah, because there were few men that weren't doing their job. And that is where you get that disrespect from, because there's a grandmother or mommy said about men, and therefore I get beat as a good man because of somebody else's narrative.
All right, Bishop Mark, go right ahead, jump right in there.
Yeah, things here, brief is been very brief. Uh, I'm usually accused of the one who goes, but his brevity, I need to mark that. But very true, he said quite a bit. But what one of the things that is very important too, and let us be clear that we are not saying that all women are the same. We are not saying that that is the general 100%. But we do find this situation within society which put a lot of pressure on the men. But I also think, and Marissa, you started by asking about it. Do you see culturalization, what we call culturalization, how people are brought up, the information that is fed into them, create what we call stereotypes, or people come up with a lot of misconceptions. Last time we were dealing with bodily sexes at our church. We were looking at, the women and the battling the men and so on. He says, she says. And one of the things we realized, there was a quiz we did, that when we ask these questions and people ask them true or false, but when everything was finished, you found that both the men and the women had a real set of misconceptions. Men don't talk, a man don't like to do housework, all kinds of things. And what came out was that people have mindsets as to what a man is, and women do that, and men also, because of their experiences, to withdraw because they see these same things being manifested that maybe happened in their homes where their mothers were domineering and so on. But what I will say to all of it is that a lot of times for things to work between a man and a woman, we need to have baggage dealt with. I feel so from both sides, where people have these misconceptions, or you hear, let's say Clair was saying, you come up here, your mother said, men, all men are dogs, men in their youth. So obviously that's all you know. So you come up now, you go up there, and as a man barely raises his authoritative voice, you get vexed because he's talking too loud and he can't rule me, who he think he is, and those kind of things. Very really true. As I said earlier, a man designed to lead. But if you can, and this is the thing about men, if you are saying one, you want me to lead, and then when they lead, you criticize. After a while, I finish, right? And so you also find it, St. Clair saying, the ladies now use the child as the battle thing. So you can't see it as my child. How I get mine? It has to be ours because the egg can't work for the sperm. Ladies understand that. So therefore, again, you treat us, if you don't treat us with value, what else you expect? You might say, but men very weak to be, but that is how we are made up. And so the effort must be made to, I think, as I guess, because the goalposts moving all the time, it is difficult then to get men to operate. We're not saying that they're not good men. Like, I'm a good man. I think, I know that Bishop Edison is a good man at St. Clair. So we have good men out there, but we are saying that a lot of times the men could get some good blows that they don't deserve, but I think that if women can respect the men, I think it would go a long way to helping us with this thing. And society too has to, give men a break. Yeah, there's some bad apples, but you can't lump all of us together because of that.
One thing before Bishop Edison jumps in there, I really want us to know this. And this is something I had in a conversation last night. Too often, the negative more so is highlighted more so than the positive. And because of that, we tend to only remember the negative. And this leads me to say that there's some cultural, I posted this just now on our video. We've had some cultural practices that have been passed down. It's as if you were baking. Everybody on Sundays would bake a cake and so forth. And it was known to bake on a Sunday afternoon, or bake when you had your chicken in the oven. So in the evening, you had your nice warm cake. These are cultural things. And I believe that we now have to, and I say we now, whether you speak of the church or whether you speak of people who want to be, better. I want to say better, rather than continue some practices that we think have worked, and they have not worked in our favor. We found now the disconnect between men being men and being strong men. And then now we're hearing now that because a woman now then had to take up the role, or seems to be moving forward, she seems almost like a feminist. So we've got so many factors that have influenced why we are where we are right now. And I think that we need to pay attention to those things and be intentional. So if the gentlemen say, as Bishop Bynoe said, you go into the supermarket, you pick up the brand of tuna that he picks up the brand of tuna that you don't like, check your response, if you're making decisions about where to eat, hint, hint, and I say to you where to eat, and there's a big conversation about, I'm leaving the decision up to you, and the woman wants you to make that decision, then you allow him to make those decisions and go with those decisions without any questions asked. I'm just thinking that in terms of these practices, we have to unlearn some stuff and be intentional about the growth that we really want to see. We have to be. If not, we're going to find another generation with men who don't know who they are. And even more so with more households being more headed by women. We have to be intentional about knowing that this is the way it was done in the cultural practice, but doesn't mean that I need to have that as the culture of my home. Bishop Bynoe, go ahead. We're getting ready to close this morning.
Yeah, we've been having a riveting discussion, and that's the whole point of this, that you have to be able to talk, you have to be able to reason with each other, you have to be open. Take, for example, one of the points that I wanted to make was this point about respecting the man's ability. We have to understand that sometimes men are configured differently from women. So for a man, we like to figure things out. We like to try a thing. No. Take for example, we going somewhere. The automatic response, if we get lost, is, man, ask somebody for directions. But the man may hesitate. He may not want to ask for directions because he wants to figure it out. He wants to figure it out. And sometimes we need to understand that men are designed that they want to conquer things, that they want to overcome them. So I would start doing something, and my mom or my wife might say, man, you could give up on that. Let me go and get somebody now to deal with it. And I would be upset, because at the end of the day, it is questioning my ability to get the job done. Let me try and fail and get it done, because here's the thing. I may be able to get it done, but I may not be able to get it done right away. But when you ask me to give up, that now prevents me from learning the new skill to do the thing that needs to be done. So sometimes we got to give men the space to figure things out and appreciate that and understand that. And some women don't know how to deal with that. Let me go and call this body. But if you look at it, even on TV, sometimes you see the man trying to do a thing, and the wife will be like, no, you're gonna make it worse than it is, and so on and so forth. But here, let me back this up. Now, there are times that my wife will come to me, and she will come to me about a issue at work. She will come to me about an issue with the computer, and so on. And believe it or not, she expects me to be able to figure it out and to get it done. Yeah. So she learns that there are certain things that I'm able to do. And if I don't know how to do them, I will usually find a way to figure it out and get it done. No, if she was the type of woman that said, man, oh, don't worry, man, give up on it, then I would get frustrated, and I want to learn how to do the thing that needs to be done. So you have to understand that men are more capable sometimes than women give them credit for, but sometimes you got to give them a little room, a little liberty to get some things figured out. Yeah, so I just want to say that as one of the different areas that a man could be frustrated in when it comes to the area of respect. And I see Marissa there smiling, and Sinclair there laughing in the background, and Bishop Mark.
No,
But yeah,
just hit a
but
very
it's the little
powerful point,
things.
Bishop. You did, and I like you. We close with that. I used to say, when you said call someone another person, you saw Bishop Mark start scratch his head, because that can send such a serious signal to a man that, let me call Bishop Mark because he knows. So I was like, okay, trust me, that is a serious one there, Bishop Edison. So that's why I'm laughing so much. That's a very serious point.
Yeah, back over to you, Marissa.
Wow, interesting. We've learned a lot today. I certainly have. And again, I just want, before you go, like and share our video, hit that like button and share our video this morning, because I believe that these programs like Men on Monday, Women on Wednesday, really challenge us to change some bad norms, if I can say that, some poor norms, some negative norms. And as I said, they're a norm. So we've accepted them. Now is the time to change, because for generations to come, we don't want a repeat cycle of what we have experienced. We just want to be healthy and to build strong families. And that's it this morning for Men on Monday. Bishop Mark, Minister Sinclair, Bishop Edison Bynoe. Thanks to all of you with us. Elise, I saw Jason Sargent there sharing an interesting comment. Good morning to you, Sally, Sharon, and all of you who've been with us this morning. Thank you so much for sharing with us this morning, being a part of our show. Again, hit that like button, share it. And for those of you who missed it, you can find it on our YouTube channel, Unifying Family. I am Marissa Boyce, and that has been our show today on Men on Monday.